Okay, my name is Richard, and this is Jane Dykstra, my wife, and she wrote the book, What Heaven is Like. This started 6 years ago when she broke every bone in her ankle. We were walking down a steep street, and she slipped, and her whole foot turned sideways. And she went in for this operation, took 4 hours long, and when she came out of it, and she was under anesthesia, she looked at me and she said, "I saw your father." And she said his name is Gilmer Oscar Jr., and he was born in the Philippines, which he was. His parents were missionaries in the Philippines. And that he hated to wear shoes because after they moved from the Philippines, they moved to Hawaiian Islands, and he didn't want to wear shoes. So my father told her things that only I would know. Well, this story has continued the last 6 years because, yeah, he passed away over 40 years before. He died when I was only 15 years old. So it was pretty incredible. But the visions keep continuing day by day for the last 6 years. And I've learned to be able to listen to my father, not as well as Jane can, but she's here to tell her story and to read you a little bit from her book. So here's Jane.
I want you to know, too, that I'm from Oskaloosa, Iowa, so I'm a native Iowan, and I'm very happy to be here. I'm going to read the first chapter of my book, What Heaven is Like, and the last chapter as well to give you a little insight into it. Can you hear okay?
She can't, but can everybody else hear okay? Yeah.
Okay.
You just have a hard time, honey, so it's like, I'm sorry.
Okay. So I wrote the book, What Heaven is Like, and it's about the visions that I've had of Richard's family, who I've never met before. They passed away. His dad passed away 44 years ago, and his mother passed away about 15 years ago. I never met them, and yet they come to visit me from heaven. And so I wrote a book called What Heaven is Like. We're going to have a drawing after the presentation is over, and we're going to give away 5 books. So if you didn't get a chance to fill out a piece of paper, we'll give you another chance before we actually do the drawing. The book's here. I'm going to read out of my original manuscript, but this is what the book looks like. There's a picture of an angel on the front, and then a little description of my picture on the back. And there's a dedication on the inside, which I dedicated to Richard and his family, and of course my mom and dad. So I'm going to read the introduction too, because this gives you a little bit of the history and the story behind my book. Do you have a loved one who has passed away? Do you wish you could talk to them again? Would you like to tell someone you have lost how very much you love him or her? You can. When a loved one passes on, they come back to you. Your loved ones can still hear you and they can see you. In return, you can learn to talk to and hear someone that you love as well. This ability to communicate with your dearly departed is the gift that God has given to all his beloved children. You can use your ability not just once, not just in your dreams, but today and every day as often as you wish. In this book, I will refer to the dearly departed as angels. I do not pretend to think that I know the meaning of what an angel is or is not. I just think this is a kind of reference to someone who has passed on and referring to our loved ones as dead. Our souls will never die. This book is a journey into my life with the angels on my shoulders. After an accident, I learned to communicate with these wondrous souls that have passed on. My gift of communicating with the dearly departed is not from a near-death experience, nor has it been a one-time occurrence. I am still in contact with these beautiful angels in a way that has changed my life. I believe it can change your life as well by reading this book. Anybody ever have a little voice inside your head that tells you to do something or not do something? That's one of your loved ones, one of your angels whispering in your ear telling you something.
Yeah, those thoughts, you never know where the thoughts that come out, and you never know where they came from. All of a sudden, you went, oh, okay, I'll do that. And where'd they come from? Well, my mom and dad want us to share that all your loved ones are still around you, and they're there to help direct you, and they're waiting to hear from you. And all you got to do is talk to them. You know, when I first started, I wasn't I knew my dad was around, but I didn't know. So sometimes I'd write a note and I'd leave it out because I knew he'd be by sometime during the day. So I'd leave it out and tell him, "Oh, I'm going to talk to you tonight," or I'd ask a question, and I always got the answers.
So, what your dad told her about the dog, the new dog, that was just one story I remember.
Oh,
It was kind of interesting for those of you that, isn't that in the book? Because I haven't read
yes.
it. Okay.
Yes.
All right, it's in the book, but this is quite this,
Not only our loved ones are always with us, but our animals are too. I was only 15 when my dad died, and about 6 months before he died, he bought me this German Shepherd. And he was the greatest pet I ever had in my life. And I don't know if my dad had a premonition, but my dad was my very best friend. And after he died, my dog Barney, German Shepherd, became my best friend. And Jane has this incredible talent that she's had since she was a little girl, sleep talking. And my parents have been able to communicate through her. And we have hundreds of recordings from these things. But one of the greatest things was that when she first got to go see them, she goes and lands on this rock, and there's the dog Barney. My dog Barney is in heaven, and he's waiting for me. Yeah. When Janie's sleep talking and dreaming, she says, "That's my dog. That's my dog, Barney. Come here, Barney." The animals are up there. All our loved ones are up there. And they just want us to talk to them. Now, they can't read your minds, so sometime when you're in a quiet place, just talk to them. You know, sometimes when I'm really scared or something, I'll say, "Dad, give me that feeling that everything will be okay," you know, and I'll get this feeling from right at my shoulders down to my feet of kind of a numbness. He's letting me know, "You'll be okay, son. You'll be okay." But they really want us to go around and spread the word because I know we all miss our loved ones, but our angels really want you to talk to them too, because they really want to help. So this is our story, and we're going to share it with the world. And I want to thank Sue Ann so much for having us here, and for all of you guys that have came. It's our life work to share this. So thank you so much for being here.
So you actually you got recordings of her talking.
Yes.
Oh, hundreds.
That's what
Yes.
you started doing finally, is started recording her.
We started recording. Well, Richard started recording my sleep talking because he didn't want to miss one word of talking to his parents or his family. And so he got out a tape recorder and he started recording our conversations. And this began over 6 years ago. And it took about 1.5 years for Richard to convince me that this was really happening because I was having dreams. But you know how dreams are, they're fleeting and you can kind of remember them and then you kind of can't. But Richard started recording them and playing them back for me. And when I was younger, I had a speech impediment. I couldn't pronounce my R's very well. So he'd play these tapes for me and I'd be, "I don't want to hear him, I don't want to hear him," because you could hear the speech impediment. But Richard, he's been recording these visions for the past 6 years. And because he's afraid of accidentally erasing one of these, he buys new recorders. So we have a box of recorders like this because he's terrified that he might do something to one of them. And so those visions are the ones that I utilized in writing my book. And because I didn't know his mom or his dad or his dog or any of these angels who have passed on, I got to know them through their own eyes. And they have become my own mom and my own dad and my own dog and my own other family. And I have visits from my family as well. But because visitations started with Richard's family, who I'd never met, and I told him all these little details possibly have known if it wasn't somebody from heaven telling me these stories.